Hi everyone, I'm Gustavio and this is Wendy. Firstly, thanks for having us here today. It's our pleasure. So we run the international design practice Pore스트&웨일, and today we are going to share a bit of the work that we do and how we have been responding to the challenges of the pandemic here in Singapore. So when the public health crisis struck, it resulted in unprecedented global lockdown of cities. People are trapped in homes. Working from home has been normalized, at least it has for us here. In many cities, people are now heavily reliant on food and groceries delivery, and all these has been translated into a dramatic increase of food packaging waste. So this led us to think, as designers, how we can take this challenge of reducing single-use plastic in food delivery and takeaway.
Yeah, so as we approach this project, first we asked, what are the reasons that lead to inaction despite greater public awareness for environmental issues? Why do people not care enough to be committed to change? And we think there are two key reasons. One, we cannot foresee the effects of climate change and visualize a faraway future that may not immediately affect us now. And two, we do not think our small individual actions actually matter.
And based on these 2 points, it became clear that for people to adopt any change in the lifestyle, we need to design desirable, sustainable alternatives that do not compromise on functionality or user experience, material properties, or even cost. And these solutions should ideally also integrate within existing ecosystems. And a bit of figures now, according to UN environmental report, out of the 300 million tons of plastic that are produced worldwide every year, almost half of that goes to packaging and is designed to be used only once. And this is one of the reasons that we chose to focus on reducing single-use plastic in food packaging. In the next few minutes, Wendy and I will share some of the insights that we gleaned from this research and ongoing project.
Yeah, so this is of course a global issue, but it is also urgent in Singapore because the island used for the landfill of incinerated waste will be filled up by 2035. So we are currently on an urgent need to reduce the amount of waste that we produce as a city. And through our research, we envisioned 3 key design directions. 1, the compostable or edible food packaging. 2, the reusable takeaway container. And 3, the hybrid takeaway container.
So when we think about compostable packaging, the first thing that comes to mind is bioplastic. And the elephant in the room that people avoid talking about is whether a material that is supposed to be composted actually ends up being composted at the end of its life cycle. And that is very much determined by the infrastructure in the city to sustain it. And many packaging that claims to be industrially compostable doesn't end up being composted at all because there's no facilities in that city. And so we are experimenting with biodegradable and edible alternatives that can be treated as organic waste and easily composted even if you don't eat them. We designed a salad bowl made of wheat bran, which is an agricultural byproduct. And the idea behind this design is that as you eat a salad, you need, usually you have bread or breadsticks. So this container allows you to break part of the container and use it to help you as you are eating your salad. That's for the base, and the lid is formed in PHA. That's a bacteria-based material that is fully biodegradable and has properties similar to conventional plastics. However, despite advancement in biodegradable materials, it's always better to reduce first and then reuse instead of disposing or recycling. And designing for inner loops is one of the key strategies for circular design thinking.
Okay, and in the second direction, we looked at the ubiquitous reusable takeaway container that we're all very familiar with. Your lunch boxes, your bento boxes. So in our research on users and local culinary culture, we realized that the gestures and behaviors that exist in the Asian context are markedly different from the West, and many of the existing lunchboxes do not fulfill the needs and diversity of Asian cuisine and eating gestures. So the street food, the hawker centers, the food court, the types of dishes, how we eat, how we share, all lead to interesting insights that can inspire new product typologies. Another insight that we have is that a ubiquitous lunchbox is originally designed for food prepared at home, in the comfort of your kitchen, right? And when we look at the Asian context where food is widely and cheaply available, and many people take away from food courts and restaurants, the reusable food container actually has two uses: the consumer who carries it and the food vendor who prepares and serves the food. And so we believe that if we can design a container with the larger food service ecosystem in mind, considering both the vendor and the consumer, we can achieve wider adoption with greater impact.
And aside from material experimentation and observing the gestures and behaviors of local culinary cultures, we also study user pain points through human-centered design research methods. And one of the key points that came out was that people may have aspirations to lead a more sustainable, conscious lifestyle, but the biggest barrier for their commitment is the hassle of washing the containers after use. This applied mainly for any reusable container, anyone we interview that carries a container with them. So that's where we came up with this third direction, which is a hybrid model that has part of it is reusable and part of it is biodegradable. So it's combining the best of these two other solutions. So this kind of sums up some of the insights from this design project we are currently working on. And aside from these, in Pore스트&웨일, there are basically two key approaches in our design philosophy. One is to design products and systems for longevity, and the other one is that we envision future narratives mainly for museums and cultural institutions. And we're now working on one project that I would like to share as well.
So when the pandemic shuts down travel and all international trade shows, we were actually curating an exhibition for the Design Singapore Council that is to be brought to the Milan Design Week, right? So that had to be all scrapped and rethought because all trade shows have been cancelled. And it really got us thinking, what is going to happen to exhibitions in a post-COVID era, and how are we going to stage exhibitions? How are we going to showcase design? If we do it virtually, who is the audience? Would it be the same? Would we build those connections that we usually build in trade shows virtually? And actually running right now in the National Design Centre is the exhibition Vision of the Future that we have curated in response to this crisis. It showcases young design talents from Singapore with both a physical and a virtual component. In the exhibition, we also designed a pedestal that is conceptualized based on the soliton curve that marks the returning waves of virus transmission over time, which we are currently seeing the second and third waves in cities in Europe, in America, and also in Asia. And this pedestal design is also designed to ensure social distancing in an exhibition context. And this concept extends towards the exhibition identity that is made up of social distancing tape.
And I'd like to finish off by saying that as we stand in the waves of the pandemic, we believe that the role of design has never been more important than in these moments of crisis. Thank you.